bottle of booze.
Yay!
Hello everybody, welcome back to Rum and Coke Night. We are here and we've got everybody ready to go, except for Jordan who's still muted. But hi, this is everybody. Everybody say hi. Welcome to Rum and Coke Night, everybody.
Hi. Hello. Welcome to Rum and Coke Night, everybody.
Everybody tell everybody what you're drinking and make sure you all do it exactly at the same time so nobody's comprehensible.
So it's a plantation run.
Drinking.
Right,
showed up in fucked up tonight. And when I don't do that, I have another.
Was someone just in a cave?
Thank you so much. Everybody did that exactly perfectly, exactly as I intended, and I am so proud of all of you. But let's actually go into
uniformity.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, welcome to Rum and Coke Night. This is the this is Debate Hub. We're here to just, hang out, chill. Don't worry, we probably won't be here for longer than 2 hours until I decide that we're definitely going to be here longer than 2 hours because my roommate show up with a mixer.
Chesh is going to throw up on stream and then fall off the chair.
He's gonna slide.
What kind of mixer? A cement mixer?
Oh no, Chesh is not gonna make it.
I believe a drink mixer, Landon, but that is a very adorable leopard gecko.
Yeah, that's Charlie.
Yes, it is.
Ooh.
I would have set it up in front of my beardy, but I don't exactly have a way of levitating my webcam.
Excellent.
But yeah, that is Charlie. She's a very old girl. She's also very
From time to time, you might hear my geckos are over that way. You might hear them sing from time to time. I've got 3 toques. 2 of them are male, so at night they have things to say.
Oh yeah, I forgot toque.
Yeah.
Well, I would have rated a toast to any fine people that are here in this room. It's always a pleasure.
Cheers.
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 They can't hear me right now, but the outside can hear me right now, which is extra funny. And I just like that everybody's just destroying their microphones.
And in case Kip Davis is watching, this is still not live gameplay. This is pre-recorded, Kip. He got very confused about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Was he very impressed with your ability to multitask?
Yeah. I thought it was more impressive with my... I think the most impressive thing about this footage is the lack of loading screens, but apparently it's the multitasking.
It is pretty impressive, the lack of loading screens. But do you guys want to go in order and actually tell people what you're drinking? We'll let Landon go, then Arnsgar can go. And Arnsgar should probably introduce himself because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been some time.
Yeah, just work your way around and clockwise. I believe in you.
Okay. So this being a rum and Coke and the fact that Coke is stuff that will kill you, I'm going for the rum. And I have a plantation rum that was distilled in Peru in 2004, and it was distilled for 12 years and then sent on a ship because the best rum was actually designed to survive in ship voyages. And many people that were sailors actually got paid in rum. And so it went on ship for a couple of years. I ended up in France where it was actually distilled for 2 years in fermented cask. So that's the good rum. And if I need more alcohol, I go back to this sort of spiced banana rum, which is basically a product of my local state. So,
wait, are you currently in Hawaii? Because I'm pretty sure that they don't grow bananas in Washington.
I am not currently in Hawaii, although I'd like to be. In fact, when we pause, I'm going to check to see what Madame Pele is doing in that regard. So this is Washington State, and from areas around Sumas, Washington.
Because I'm pretty sure that they don't grow bananas in Washington.
And
imported bananas, I presume.
I think it actually has also passion fruit and some other things involved in that. So, but that's for the next thing, and then depending on what else is drinking, I might have to go for it because I was reminded of some of the fine alcohol that some of the other folks are doing that I may want to expand my horizons.
Well, some of you might know me. I've been around the community for a little bit. Arnsgar Odinson, or Reverend Odinson. I'm a ordained minister of Satan, actually twice ordained now. But today I'm having
Satan.
Hail Satan. Nain Rouge, which is made over in Corktown, Illinois, not far from me. This is a lovely absinthe verte, which means it's made with what is that? Green anise instead of star anise. That's where the whole myth of the green fairy comes from, is that green color you get from it. And it has a lovely louche. That's this sort of cloudiness that it gets when ice water is added to it. This is actually one of my favorites because it has a kind of a strong taste of clove in it. If any of you have ever had absinthe, it's basically a licorice treat in a glass. You mix it with about 3 to 5 parts water to 1 part of absinthe, depending on how you like it. So yeah, that is what I am drinking tonight.
It's a wonderful liqueur. Sounds like. And I had there was an organic chem lab where one of the authors was actually doing a lot of work on absinthe and the reaction you get with the water and other things. The result was they had lots of experimental material that they needed to dispose of.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's the essential oils of the plants that themselves that are kind of like suspended and trapped in the matrix of the alcohol that then get released when the water hits it.
And there's a whole fascinating reaction and stuff. They're seriously doing analytic studies on this stuff.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool. I mean, just watching it mix in the glass and the louche start to happen in the glass is already fascinating enough. I'd love to see the what science is going on under the hood.
So, Lev?
Well. Hi, everyone. At this point, unfortunately, you probably all know who I am. For those in the back, I am Low Energy Videos. One time a human being, now slowly turning into the Grimace's forgotten son. In the interim, I will take away my pain with a good old bottle of Tullamore Dew. I was thinking of picking up a whiskey, and I always go for Jameson's when I want to get something a little cheaper. Thought I should have shaved for this. But I
being fuzzy is fine.
Like, well, anyone who knows me knows that I've been a lot fuzzier than this. And I ended up just going for, hey, this is right next to it, roughly about the same bump. And that shot there had a kick to it. But I got this, but I also picked up, I wanted to get this really nice Spanish beer. It starts with X. I don't know what it is. Huge bottle. Absolutely lovely. But then I saw this was right next to where it should be. And I love Hogarden. You go to the barrel store in Carrick-on-Shannon. That tap there is for my exclusive use, so everyone there says, because no one wants the damn stuff except for me. I don't get it.
Hogarden's great. It's a great
I
wheat.
love Hogarden. I used to knock this stuff back like crazy, so I don't know why people aren't jumping for it, but whatever. I haven't drank since Scotland about 4 weeks ago, and again, if anyone knows me, knows that has been an eternity. But I haven't been drinking that much the past year and a half, so it's not been the end of the world until today, where it's all come crashing in. I better enjoy it because it's right back to sobriety until Paddy's Day. All right, that's me. Yes, there is a giant. It's not your screen. There is a giant hole in my wall. I did not punch it. I scraped off the paint with my chair. I am not very good at things.
So it's not the H bomber guy hole. Got it.
Aquaman.
My God, it was so. I guess it's my turn now. Hi, my name is Senator Izu. I also was junior counselor Jadam Ross on Star Trek Lexington, and it has been quite a while since I've been around. Right now, I am drinking a shitty ass Heineken. No long story. Unfortunately, it was what I had in the fridge. But yeah,
I like that Chesh's broken the clockwise rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you were truly going in a circle,
Just for that,
you would,
just for that, I'm kicking him out.
He knows you so long. He should know better.
Yeah, right.
Oh, now it's even more broken.
I will say I was gonna low energy vids. I was gonna be a little bit more fuzzier than you, but I ran out of time.
So I am drinking a raspberry wheat. It's called Roxanne by Star Hill. They're my favorite brewery. They're out of Charlottesville, Virginia. Because I like my beer to taste like fruit juice. So that's what this one tastes like. Though Hoegaarden is an excellent wheat beer.
Yes, it is.
And the cup is a cup I won for winning a Super Smash tournament that was thrown by one of my friends for her husband's birthday, and I crushed him in the final.
Ooh.
Well, crushes isn't over. He was far and away a better player than me, but I dramatically died twice and then killed him 3 times in a row. So,
Well, I remain the Science Friends Grand Canyon Trip Power Rangers Battle for the Grid fighting game champion. So there's that. Gotta give some gamer cred. Of course, I was the only one who owned the game, but it was fun anyway. And yeah, but I'm Dapper Dinosaur. Sometimes I'm a dinosaur on the internet. Sometimes I'm a space marine on the internet. I don't know. I am drinking Captain Morgan and some generic store brand cola because I'm a cheap bastard. And that's me.
taking the rum and coke title literally, I see.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Well,
like
except for
that
the
you
Coke
insinuate
part.
that you can't be both a dinosaur and a space marine at the same time. I don't see how those two things,
You
A
just don't tell the
dinosaur would
Inquisition,
not
that's
be,
all.
wouldn't be a human, and therefore
Yeah.
wouldn't be allowed in the God Emperor's army.
Yeah, only the
Now, you
purity
can't be
of the
mutated.
form
You
of
can be a
mankind.
chaos. You can be a chaos.
Yeah,
space
maybe.
marine.
I
What
could
was
be a
that
black
creature found in
dragon.
it?
I could be a
Yeah,
black
Black
dragon.
Dragon. Yeah.
and if he never takes his helmet off, no one will know. It's all good.
Well,
Isn't
Oh, it's just a
there
very
group-
ornate helmet. That's all.
Isn't-
No, I don't want
isn't
to take it
there-
off right now.
Isn't there an army that rides around on dinosaurs though?
There's a
That's the
fact,
faction.
right?
Extradites.
Yeah, there's a faction, but there's no army for it because Games Workshop doesn't want to make a bunch of money from the dinosaur elf army.
There is the
dumb.
Slan from not
Yeah.
the Slan, the lizard men from
Fantasy.
Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah,
and,
the Lizardmen, yeah.
Yeah.
They were actually my old moniker, Crusher the Croxagore. So,
Well,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
exactly why people started 3D printing their own, Warhammer, 40K minis, because there's so many things they haven't released, and then they shut that down because no fun allowed.
The fun fact is, once it's on your computer as an STL file, they can't do anything about it.
That is a fact.
I also
Have they
can't-
started sending the Pinkertons to people like Wizards of the Coast?
As far as I
yeah,
know, they have
I know.
not.
well, they kind of did to the guys from Texas Speech who they didn't snag up. So
I forget what did Wizards of the Coast hire the Pinkertons over?
A guy got a Magic the Gathering card that was in a pack that he was like, he was gonna open it on camera as like an influencer, but he got a pack that wasn't officially released among the stuff he was supposed to have, and so he's like, "Oh, here's this cool pack they didn't tell me I was getting," and then the Pinkertons showed up to confiscate it.
Yep. And
Right.
he had that perfectly legally because the person who actually broke the contract to release the card early did it accidentally, but it was the person he bought the cards from. That guy sent him the wrong cards accidentally.
Right.
And so this guy was legally in the clear. He had absolutely no contract with Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro or anything else. And they just sent literal murderous thugs. If you've ever played Red Dead 2, you might recognize the Pinkertons as the bad guys, the video game bad guys that you kill without remorse because they're the video game bad guys.
It's
during the Gilded Age or Industrial Age, whatever you want to call it, the Pinkertons got their fame really for strike breaking, and what strike breaking really meant was going in with guns and killing everyone there.
I thought you
started with
bored
breaking
them by
some
talking about
kneecaps
stories
first.
about an onion on your belt, which was the
Yeah,
style at the
being-
time.
Being the oligarch thugs that
Yep.
essentially said if you got to be a little bit uppity and wanted even mildly
They had more
human
people
rights.
in service than the U.S. Army after the Civil War, didn't they?
Yeah, but the USA was still doing that whole thing, like being suspicious of a standing army. So, like, that's not as impressive as it sounds because a smaller
Well,
portion
post
of the
Civil War,
population.
America wanted to be like, that whole Civil War thing was pretty crazy. Let's be an empire. So that didn't last very long.
But you know, for-profit law enforcement, nothing could go wrong with that.
Nope, just like for-profit prisons or for-profit judicial system or for-profit.
Everyone should actually realize that all of their wealth belongs to the emperor.
I think with geckos in the background.
Yep,
Aw.
that's one of the boys.
It's very cute.
Nice.
Yeah, so
It
fun
is
story
very
about
cute.
that.
I want this gecko around more often.
Buy a tokay gecko. They're not that hard to find.
So fun story about that. That's actually where the term gecko comes from. The tokay gecko is, its scientific name is gecko, and
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that the name tokay gecko comes from the sound it makes? So it's a Pokemon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be clear.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's saying gecko. And now the soldiers in Vietnam, they called it the fuck you lizard because they thought it was saying fuck you.
I mean, yeah.
That sounds like a very soldiery thing to think.
Very Vietnam thing, because they were so high on opium that they probably thought that was what they were actually hearing.
Is Vietnam how the tokay geckos ended up in the invasive prominent gecko in Florida?
No, just the pet industry. They're one of the very first domesticated reptiles because they're incredibly hardy. They make that cute noise, and they're really prolific all over Southeast Asia. In fact, they're really considered kind of a form of house gecko. A lot of places in Southeast Asia actually let them into their homes, just wild. Like they don't even bother domesticating them because not only do they kill and eat insects, which is good pest control. They also kill snakes. They are to snakes what like dolphins are to sharks. They'll come out as huge communities. They're a social lizard. They live in huge social groups, and they'll come out as social groups and drive away snakes.
That's pretty cool.
There's definitely a lesson in there for all of us.
Yes.
Yes.
My lawyer.
Something topical.
My lawyer has asked me to refrain from comment on this.
Mine doesn't, because mine's a pussy. They say burn them all over and over again. I don't think he's gonna get his license renewed. So I best take his advice when he still has it.
Yeah, that advice of counsel defense is pretty good if you can get it.
Yeah. By the way, I think that we've gotten to Jordan or Dacker on the.
On the what?
Didn't you?
I think I believe we've all done our drinks.
Yes.
Everybody has done it except for me technically, and I'm waiting on my roommates to come back with the mixer, and then I'll I'll come back.
I should have maybe thought about getting something wilder, because a part of me is thinking, will this do it for me? And will I end up getting as slosh as I want? But the thing is, I keep thinking like I was before I went on the diet and the tolerance break, which has been going on for about a year and a half now, of very rarely getting drunk. And I got to remember, this will floor a normal person. So I'm fine. I'm thinking, what happens in 2 hours when I want more and there's none left? Oh, I think that's what I'll do.
This I want to preserve for special times as a special time, but I don't want to drink at all. So I might end up going to the absinthe I have in not what I was going to do, but I've got to sip this first. So
do you have the whole setup? Do you have like a fountain and everything, London?
I have the plate and the
right, okay, yeah. And my wife bought me. Let me see if I can even get this thing on camera. I might have to move my mic first.
But it's sort of like for we're talking about, there's things where if you have a party and you're going to get multiple people, then you can use it like this. Use it like that to do it. If you're doing it just for yourself, I think we have
the same mic there, Agnar.
Oh yeah.
By
the
way, that's a nice one.
What is that?
That's an absinthe fountain. So you don't want to just pour ice water into your into your glass. So
Gotta go
this
slow.
right here, this is what they often call like a reservoir, and you fill it up to here with the absinthe, and then you take your spoon if you're going to be using sugar, and you put that on top like this, and then sugar cubes go on top of that. And then ideally what you want is you want the ice water to very slowly drip over the sugar cubes and down into the reservoir to mix with the absinthe slowly.
It's like a whole ritual.
Yes. Yeah, it's called the
Yeah.
absinthe ritual. And so there's several ways to do that. There's fountains like what I have, where you have each little spigot you can just finely adjust to get the right drip. They also have these interesting drip machines. They just fit over the top of your glass, and you put the ice water in there, and then it slowly drips through that. And then some people will just use a carafe and just very delicately, pour the water just little bits at a time. So there's lots of ways to do it, and there's even more elaborate fountains. Some of them have up to 6 spigots at a time. I just have one with 2.
So when I was in London, I went to a bar somewhere near the Thames. I couldn't tell you where, but it's I was on a bit of a pub crawl, and we went into this bar, and in the back of the bar there was a smaller bar, and that's where they had the absinthe. And there was just a barman there whose sole job it was just to pour absinthe. And he said, "Listen, you can have." He said this to everyone, because I heard him saying this spiel to other people. You can have 3 drinks of this, and then you have to leave, and you can't come back for an hour. And in that time, I recommend you get something to eat. And there was like,
Weird.
but why? It's just stronger alcohol. I'm like, no. It's like we put the wormwood in it, and
Yeah.
it
It's a
sounds
myth.
like it is, but at the time it built
People
it
don't
up.
know.
Yeah, and
No.
it was kind of it was a strong alcohol, I'll give it that. But like I didn't see the sparkles and shit like
Yeah,
that. It was like,
there's so
ooh,
little
licorice.
wormwood that you would have to drink so much of it to have any
Well-
wormwood poisoning. You'd have alcohol poisoning before
Yeah.
you'd have any wormwood poisoning.
Well, and the thing is the poison that's in there doesn't survive the distilling process. It's gone. So what happened was during the heyday of absinthe, it was outselling in Europe. It was outselling in France wine, right? It was outselling
It was
everything.
the peasants. It was the poor people's booze.
Not
basically.
quite, actually. That's the association that got created by the wine industry. So the same thing happened to absinthe that happened to in Europe, that happened to marijuana here in the United States, where because it was threatening one of the dominant industries, they created this mystique that it is the drink of the bohemian culture, right? And it's poisonous and it'll make you hallucinate. It's a drug.
Something Moulin Rouge.
Next
right.
thing you know, your daughters will be listening to jazz.
Right. Right. So the way pot got associated with black culture, when they were trying to outlaw pot, they associated absinthe with bohemian culture. And at the time it was just the most popular drink, and everyone was drinking it. Where it gained popularity was it was originally made as a medicine for was it malaria? I think it was a malaria treatment or something like that. But anyways, the soldiers that came home that had tried it were like, oh no, this is just really, really good. And it's actually not a very alcoholic drink once you mix it. So this is like, for instance, 60% alcohol by volume. But by the time you properly mix it, 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio, depending on how you like it, it's really not that strong. And where this reservoir comes in is it was a way to make sure that your bartender was on the up and up, because about 30 milliliters is the standard dose. And so when you went to the bar, they would have a glass like this to make sure that your bartender wasn't cheating you. They fill up the reservoir, you take your glass and put as much water as you want in there.
Like today, you've got the bottles upside down with the pressure bubble,
Right.
that fills up the shot, so you know exactly what they're getting, which works great for them because they can measure out the bottles exactly. And When I was up in Edinburgh, I did have I'd go into a bar that had all the little spigots of water for the scotch, so you can dilute it on the bars, and I forgot about those things, and I was fiddling with it, and I just sprayed water all over my hand. I was like, "What is this thing?" Oh, right, yeah.
Should I tell the story of the bartender at PDFC who tried to kill me?
Sure.
Tried to
that
kill
sounds
you.
interesting.
Obviously, they failed. but-
No,
Yeah.
not really. Not really. It's just this guy was questionable. So I was at the local state FurCon 2 months ago, I think. Wait, no, it was January. That's 1 month ago. Forgive me, I'm very tired, and time is timing. Anyways, so I go to the bar. I'm with a few friends of mine, and I just go up to the bartender like, "Hey, man, I am not really accustomed to drinking all that much. Could I just get something like sweet that's like not that strong?" He's just like, "Okay, I gotcha." What he gives me was like 3/5 of vodka, and
It's made with potatoes. It's basically a vegetable.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a salad.
it's healthy, but it is not healthy.
Makes
but
you feel healthy anyway.
I'm not sure about how I felt after that. we'll put a pin in that one. So I'm just like, my friend is going back upstairs for a panel, and I gotta get there in like a sec as well. So there's a panel I was wanting to go to, and so I drink this. I down this like vodka with like I think it was like raspberry or something like that. And it tasted like cough syrup, as per usual. And I drank this within about like 3 minutes. Probably really shouldn't have done that.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once I get up the escalator, I immediately start dying. Just immediate dizziness.
Damn, at
And,
least
like
you're a
the
cheap
con
date. They
medic
hit
was
you
like,
fast.
"Are you good?" The con paramedic saw me. I was like, "Oh no." And then I went on to immediately win at the game panel that I went to next. So that was fun.
My wife once got so high on edibles she forgot how to walk.
I've been there.
Yeah, her very first edible, she had a migraine, so she took it before work. Mistake.
Okay, there's problem number one.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So she's like,
Died.
"Okay, I'll just take a tiny little bit of this edible. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, this really isn't an hour later. This really isn't doing anything, right? So, you know what? I'll just have the rest of it."
Oh no.
It's the fucking meme. Or like the
It really is. Oh, it's a
so
meme.
true.
And so
Wait.
I'm at home with our eldest, and he's an adult by now, but I'm at home with him, and I get a call, and she's like, "I'm on the train and I don't know how to walk."
Oh no.
And so I had to talk her through every single stage of how to stand up, how to walk, how to get off the train, get on the train going back the opposite direction, and find her way to the station so that we could take her back home. It was hilarious.
Rough.
So I got a similar story. A friend of mine from college days, we're still besties. She lives up in Belfast now, but this is back when I lived in Dublin, and she was still doing her photography, and some of her stuff was up on a gallery. I helped shoot some of it. So she was like, "Oh, we're gonna have a big night out. So I'll meet up in Temple Bar. We'll have a few pints, and then we'll make our way up to the gallery. And it'll be a big night." And out there, she went like, "Oh, I got something for you," and she handed me these capsules. Now, these capsules were fucking like packed to the brim with goodness. And I'm a lightweight when it comes down to getting stoned. Every once in a while, I'll enjoy a good joint. I had one a few weeks ago with some friends at their place, and I had a blast. But all I need is about one, and I'm sorted. I swallowed the 2 without even thinking, right then and there. And but when she looked at me and she's like, "That was for like," because she knows I'm a lightweight, and I was like, I didn't think about it. Like I swallowed them, and then immediately was like, "Should I go into the bathroom and throw this up immediately?" But she's like, "No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine." We get to the gallery, and if you've ever seen a tank move from like looking down at it, the way the turret can move in one direction and the body will move the other, that's how I moved. I forgot how to move my whole body at once. So I would stand
you're like doing the Batman neck.
Yeah, I was doing like a bird when it was standing, and like I would just stand still, and then I'd go like
the early
looking
Batman
at a picture.
costume type look.
Yeah, it was.
There's nothing better than watching Batman in a fight, and he's just.
Some of the things that modern Hollywood has caused us to lose.
Yeah, like nipples.
Or when he's in the, I think he's in like
nipples,
the Bat jet or something like that, or the Batmobile, and he goes to wave out the window, and you see him just kind of go.
Yeah, you can hear the suit creaking.
Yeah.
Maybe don't make the suit out of thick rubber. I don't know.
But it saves money.
Yeah, that's true.
It was the style at the time. It's not like comic book movies will ever be respectable and like a big industry or anything. Nah, they're niche things. No one will care.
Listen. That way, if a bad guy breaks Batman's neck, it's already braced. He's good.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
Built in.
Just wear a posture collar at that point, man.
This is neck protection. I like it.
Steel had the right idea of it.
Trying to pretend that Batman is logical is like one of my favorite things that like nerds do. Like nerds will just sit around and try to make things that are clearly not meant to make any physical sense make physical sense, and it's one of my favorite conversations to just listen in on. You will actually be out here being like Rainbow Dash.
Are you saying that Batman doesn't actually have realistic thermal bat lozenges or bat shark repellent? That's not realistic.
I was gonna say,
you know, I bet you he has the shark repellent. That's the one that he does have.
Well, I mean, which Batman are we talking? Like Adam West Batman is not intended to be taken seriously.
Adam West Batman, my beloved. I grew up on that shit.
Did you see the animated one where he was? I think was it the last time he ever redid the role, and it was like a movie tribute to the '60s Batman. I forget what it was called. I
didn't see that now.
They spoof all. At one point, he goes evil and he dons bat brass knuckles and he starts beating the shit out of the Joker and Penguin. But even his like shade is really like friendly, like family friendly.
Good.
You know, one thing I've tried to remind comic book people, as somebody, I was really into comic books for a long time. I've even made my own. I was planning on being a comic book artist. Is that comic books are not supposed to be a one of the reasons I don't even like live action comic book movies is they're not supposed to be a reflection of reality, right? Like they'll take themes and they'll take political themes and they'll do things with them, but the comic books, like visually, they were based off of like theater, right? They're theatrical. The reason Thor, for instance, has wings on his helmet is because it was based off of old
Wagner
opera. Yeah, Wagnerian opera. The reason that Batman is the way he is it was based off of old, radio shows and things like that, like Captain Midnight.
The Phantom.
The Phantom.
The Shadow.
The Phantom, the Shadow, Captain Midnight, like things like that. So that's, it's theatrical. And honestly, if movies and TV ever did decide to try and be as much like reality as possible, they'd be boring as hell.
Well, they did Gotham, for example. If you remember the TV show Gotham, that was trying to just be like a.
It was boring.
And yet, so for me, like there are some things that can get really out there. Usually ones that aren't like superhero ones, but then like only last year I watched Buckaroo Banzai for the first time, or like Darkman, and you can't do that shit today. They're so trippy and weird. I wish they would. I wish they would get out there, but those are comic books through.
Yeah,
Now,
I
we
feel
should
like
talk for a second about why we're not allowed to have nice things and goofy things anymore. It's because capitalism wants you to do the most bare bones basic bread, the white bread that everybody will actually be willing to go to make as much money as possible.
I think also in some ways what's happened is the nerd culture in general has become very cynical. So it's become sport to sit and pick a movie apart about why it's unrealistic, or why the fantasy sword doesn't reel, why the wizard spell doesn't adhere to physics, and I think that kind of gets in way of the enjoyment of just having fun with a campy
Yeah, there's a
fantasy.
weird mix, right? There's like this hypercritical stuff going on, but on top of it, you've also got movies that are either not trying hard enough or are trying too hard to over-explain.
That's true too.
Oh, okay. So I gotta point out that like that might have been true. I think like post 9/11, like the X-Men movies, where it was dark and broody. But now they're going back in the opposite direction. Like the famous like what you expect yellow spandex, and now he's wearing. It's like it's aware that they were being a little bit too grim, dark, serious edgelord shit, and now they're being to a degree they're being fun again.
To a degree. I mean, for just as an example, when the director was asked why there was no magic or mysticism in the Thor movies, he just said that that's just the way comic book movies have to be. You know what I mean? You can't have magic and mysticism. It's got to be
in
sci-fi.
comic books,
right? Heaven forbid, our alien space god has magic.
Also, hello, Opie, welcome.
Hello. I hopped into whatever you guys are talking about. So,
comic book
how
movies.
Everything is becoming a big block of protein paste, and with no taste to it.
How are you doing, OP? And that.
Now, the last thing I will say is wrong with the industry is the same thing wrong with the entire entertainment industry, is that everything's becoming conglomerated, right? So you have so few media entities out there. So really what you're coming down to is the creative decision, or at least the capitalistic decision on what movies get made and how they get made, are in the hands of maybe 12 people. So you have 12 minds ultimately deciding what the biggest entertainment genres are going to show us, and that really doesn't lead to a whole lot of creativity.
And games have complicated the notion of movies, because now most franchises are really, it's the residuals like the game, and the movie is the afterthought. And in fact, in terms of, you typically have an order of magnitude more economic value by those 12.
The movie is just the trailer for the game.
and in fact, it just contains cutscenes. And worse than that, and Sony Entertainment is an example of this, where what they claim is a game is really a bunch of cutscenes where they pause, let you do a couple of things on your controller, and then give you the next scene.
So are we saying?
And then you will go to a movie, and they basically are giving you we want to tie you in, so you'll buy our game, spend $90 on a buggy piece of crap, and then expect you to think you've been to the theater.
So is Iron Lung the opposite of all of this? Is that what that is?
Yes,
because it's coming from a completely like established.
Again, they're
established.
That's
Marky is established in his own in our neck of the woods, but outside of it.
I was actually going to say that movie with his own money, so
Glitch just got greenlit for the Knights of Guinevere, which is just a giant fuck you to Disney, and they've already put out Digital Circus, which again shows there's plenty of creativity. That's the only place they can go to is online, and now the companies are focusing on the online. There will be nowhere safe.
Last I looked at it, honestly, with when it came to that sort of thing that you're talking about, of the top 20 most influential, most watched, most highest grossing intellectual properties that get made into movies and TV and stuff like that, I think something like 18 are owned by Disney alone, and that's that's just unacceptable.
Yeah. And so
And they want
if
the
you're
remainder.
if you're a movie playwright and you want to play in basically in the movie industry, not in indie stuff, you've really got to basically start with how is this going to turn into a game that's going to be sold, and then worse than that, the quality assurance that's done on there. One of my former students is a big time game developer, and he says by the time the influencers are getting the special versions for them to hype, the development team's already moved on, and you're lucky if as long as the developers get a good rating, then they get suckers to buy the game, and if it fails or doesn't work, well, too bad, because you're supposed to buy the next game. And it really is. The game industry has such contempt for its customers.
I think that's the entire world of business right now, right? It's not about what you can produce. It's not about how effective your product is how well can you sell it. I mean, look what is happening with the so-called AI industry right now, right? Something
It's
like
a bubble
87. Something like 80% of all implementation has been an utter failure. I'm not saying the tech isn't good. I mean, it's interesting technology. However, it's being crammed into literally everything where it doesn't even make sense. But it doesn't matter because you can sell it as doing things that it can't do.
I'd also add that there's another thing to go with the homogenization of a lot of media properties, or as I've heard it called, the Fortnite-ification, where we just jam a bunch of competing art styles into the same thing because you remember Familiar Thing, right? I'd say that the worst that besides Fortnite, the worst perpetrator of this is Destiny 2.
Or Magic.
Yeah,
Magic the Gathering is also a big problem there.
I'm just amazed at Paulo at the quality of the software. I mean, I'm one of those people that actually want software to work, and I work hard to make my software not fail to suck, even beyond that, to actually work correctly. Where the game industry doesn't give a damn, and they want you to pay your money, and then if it doesn't work, oh, too bad, right? And
I do want to say that the AAA game industry, there's a lot of really great indie stuff happening.
And we're talking about the big game system. We're talking about the big media companies. The 12 is
the new GTA is coming out this year, and that I guarantee you that even if it makes all the money in the world, like the last one did on its opening weekend, its opening month, they will still declare its opening a failure because they've promised at least double that to the shareholders. It is a diminishing return of nothing. At a certain point, they will not be able to promise the money that the investors want, and that's when we're going to get our next big bubble.
Yeah, that's the problem with an investment-based economy, right?
Yeah, no one makes things anymore. Everyone just speculates.
I mean, also another thing about that homogenization. Okay, there's the word. I can word this afternoon. Would be the loss of a unique art style in a lot of games. Like, again, Destiny, the entirety of Renegades was, do you remember Familiar Thing? Instead of making something unique or new, we're basically traipsing around the just random parts of the Star Wars movies.
I mean,
with a Destiny look to it, and that's just like, come on.
If you look away from the live service AAA space, though, where like a lot of the innovation is coming in games, it's a big repudiation of that. Like, you've got games like Satisfactory, which are well supported by a great developer. You've got games like I just played Cairn, which is super unique. It's a climbing game that is like fully committed to the bit that it's doing. So like, you just have to know where to look.
I just beat Schedule 1 recently. That was excellent. One guy made Schedule 1.
Yeah,
he's still working
on it. So I would say avoid the big game titles, avoid the stuff and go with the indies, just like
don't forget that if you keep giving money to the indies, they will eventually do a CD Projekt Red and go from indie to become part of the problem.
Yeah, and then
then
you have Digital Extremes, which did the opposite. It went from part of the problem to its own thing, to like a more respectable company, which
course, all this is going on while I have some AAA gameplay footage going. So I don't know.
Hell, I remember when 40K, you probably do Dapper, when 40K was on the margins. The weirdest thing about it was it had its own store, Games Workshop. What the hell? Why is this? Who cares? It's not like anyone's going to pay attention to it. Decades later, we are on the cusp of being mainstream. It's insane.
Well, once Henry Cavill's series comes out on Amazon, it'll
say.
we'll see when that comes out, right?
I'm sad.
That's definitely going to propel it to mainstream. Let's be real.
Even if it's
It
not
will,
good,
but when
it'll
will
be
it
part of
Hi,
come
I got
out?
my drink.
Oh.
It's gin
Yay.
and ginger ale and a little bit of blue casero.
Ooh,
that
yeah, I got
just
some
looks like
ginger ale.
Romulan ale. You should
I
tell
thought
people
I
that's
said you
Romulan
added
ale.
lavender. Isn't it lavender? Didn't you add
There's no
lavender?
lavender. No, it's all purple. Get out of here. Get out of here, Landon. I'm gonna kick you out. If you want to talk about game systems and things going from like smaller to larger, though, you have to start talking about Larian and Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Recently.
I'm
Talk about the
redoing Baldur's Gate
shitification of Larian. Yeah.
Ooh,
Which,
that happened
by the way,
overnight.
speaking of all of this, Chesh loves lavender, so you should give her things that have lavender all through them. Just in fact, send her bulk
especially that
lavender
smell
flowers.
like lavender.
Yeah,
you know,
she loves
Awesome.
Lavender
she
plushies.
adores. It's her favorite.
Dapper's
thing.
not allowed.
Now,
Dapper is not allowed back.
I for one never thought that you liked lavender there, Chesh, whatsoever. No, in fact, it was Landon who suggested it the whole time. Yeah. I'm fucking
It tastes like soap.
worm-tongued, just trying to keep myself alive.
Oh wait, here I am. Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, so the
I
things
was
that
the
also,
first to say that lavender was bad.
another
been-
problem.
Real quick, it's been fun. I am almost out of mobile data because my internet's down, so I'm streaming this through my phone.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Jordan.
So like we're back in like the 2000s. So yeah, thanks for inviting me
Just
on.
try
You've
one
been
of those
doing
other
pretty well,
AOL
considering.
discs, and
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
log in with a new account.
Have a good day, Jordan. Thanks for coming by. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.
I keep forgetting it's Valentine's Day.
So one of the things that he's running into problems is the enshittification with this AI stuff, where they'll work on building a gameplay, but then they want AI to fill in a lot of the stuff, and the result is that the game goes off the rails, and they can't really control it because AI does dumb things.
And
And
you vibe coded your whole game, so you don't know how any of the actual code works, which means you can't fix a single bug.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, and then of course, but again, if you're a big beginner, you don't care. You just grab the money and run.
Did
right?
you see that Google
I don't
AI
want
thing?
to. I don't want to say
the AI
anything nice
game?
about Ubisoft, but they're actually using AI in a way that's clever and intelligent. They asked their writers, if AI could do one thing for you that you hate doing, what would it be? And all the writers said, just all that random bull crap, like when you go into a town and the NPCs have to say some random bullshit. Could you just have the AI do that? And like, yeah, we could have the AI do that, but we're
Okay.
gonna need a human to take a pass and make sure it all makes sense in the end. But yeah, we can let them generate the random. Oh, have you tried these apples? You know what I mean? That kind of crap.
And one thing that
fluff.
NVIDIA is doing with their so-called new cards is it's AI enhanced, which basically means they just sort of do fluff between frames, and if you slow it down, you get really crappy fluff, right? It can make it look snazzy in some circumstances, but the notion that you try to get something frame rate driven, and then it starts making up crap in the middle of
Yeah, if you go much
frames.
past doubling your frames, it's gonna start looking real bad.
Yeah,
I do want to cut in for a second because
kind of.
Yeah.
we need to know what Opie is drinking.
Oh,
Mm.
a Cabernet Sauvignon Federalist.
Ooh, hey, Federalist.
It's
Nice,
a lot
nice.
better than that shit ass Heineken I had.
Well, whose fault is that?
Yeah,
Me
the
for
Heineken
being
didn't fly
early-
up and go into your hand.
Okay, but it spawned in my house, and I don't know.
You'd
how.
actually be surprised. Heineken will do that, and
Yeah,
it
it'll
should
just
be
appear.
abolished. Yeah.
Chesh,
just
please,
put us
please do not
on.
tell me about Heineken, okay? I at one point did consider marrying it, and then it was like, oh no, you're too poor. And I was like, why? You spent all your money on Heineken. Oh, you see, it's a fickle bitch.
Yeah, I think I only have it around for like parties when family's over. Like, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. How much of this industry do we have to look towards like a survivorship bias where, all that's the feedback we're getting is this basically, and not seeing everything that is,
Tell me more.
I mean, like, I guess like with the AAAs, yes, that's the feedback we're getting is the planes coming back with their wings shot down, but not their engines shot down, So, but then if all the tiny little indie games that are succeeding, or indie animations, like like what is a Chaotic Barbarian that's doing so well right now,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every once in a while, an indie comes out that just becomes a breakout huge hit, right? It happens that again. The first Ark Survival Evolved, that was a huge breakout hit from a very small studio that barely even knew how to use Unreal Engine. Yeah, they barely even knew how to use Unreal Engine. In fact, right now they're making
Five Nights.
Yeah, yeah.
Minecraft.
I was just thinking of Notch.
Yeah. To give you an idea how little they know about Unreal Engine, is they're literally their remaster of Ark. I think it's like Ark Ascended, is literally them just practicing with Unreal Engine so that they can figure out how to make Ark 2, because they have no idea how to make Ark 2.
But they know how to pay celebrities for the trailer.
Well, they don't even have to pay them practically. I mean, they do, but like, for instance, most of the celebrities have actually come to them. In fact, Vin Diesel is a producer on the Ark animated series and Ark 2.
Vin Diesel is such a nerd. I think he's generally helped make nerd culture. I mean, I know everyone thinks Halo was what broke down the final door of living in mom's basement. But I do think people like Vin Diesel really helped along, because he would just be like, how I prep for a lot of roles? I go and I play a game of D&D, and I just create a one-shot character that's basically that character, and I get into roles. And
I like Vin Diesel.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So
he rocks a leather kilt. I'll say that much.
On a slightly different thing in terms of AI packaging in art, I had a very interesting conversation when I was at Istanbul, and it turned out that where it was there's a person, and I asked, and they said, keep my character silent, but they play a character in the Star Trek universe where you don't see them, but you see the character that they persona. And what they're running into is the fact that the studios are saying, hey, you're too expensive as a human, so we want you to sign over the rights to play that character, because we'll just have the machine do it. And they're saying, no, I want to put nuances into the character. So I work with the producer and the scriptwriter to see what I can do to enhance my character. And if I turn it over to a bot, you're not getting me. You're getting but you'll see what looks like the character, but it's not me.
This is not a pipe.
Yes. Well, you see, if this is totally advice. If any executive ever does that to you, you should content redact the executive.
What you have to remember, what makes great art is line go up.
Real art is the golden parachute for the investor who is good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. See, Jesh, I told you this is what would happen. It will begin. The politics will creep in. There will be no
You're fired.
You can't fire me. I'll just keep talking about
artists still need to eat.
No,
but if making fun of
she can fire me.
If making fun of Jeffrey Epstein is politics, then let's get political.
And so his thing was that I want to, if my character gets on another franchise, I want to help expand the franchise and add nuance to it. And if my character gets turned over to a bot, then you've lost all my creativity. I'll make some money, but I won't be able to contribute to the universe. And so he was sort of like, how do I? And his agent saying, but if they want me to voice act, and if I don't sign over my rights so they can take my character and do it whether they want hell with it, then I'm not going to be able to play again, and so people won't see my character at all.
Right.
it'll be gone. Right.
You know, what's interesting is somebody who likes to create characters as a character designer. I can kind of almost see where somebody in my shoes would almost love the idea of AI, because then you don't get an actor's take on your character. You just get the character exactly as you envisioned it. That said, I have to like kind of bring the ego down, which isn't easy. Let me tell you something. It isn't easy because when you get that collaborative process in art, you know, like let's talk about the very first Star Wars, where Lucas didn't have total control over the artistic direction. You get better art because you know, I have this vision of the character, but then this actor this is what they do is portray a character, gets a whole.
And this is something that happens in science as well, right? It's called like perception bias. When you've done all the work on this character and this character is your baby, then you don't see things or have any additional perspective that you can add to this. It's like a parent and a teacher saying, your kid's a piece of shit. And you're like, no, but they're my baby. And it's like, but the teacher's like, no, listen, your kid's a piece of shit. They need other influences than just you to not be a piece of shit.
This is why we have Game of Thrones, because George R.R. Martin looked at Tolkien and was like, problems. Let's fix this, because this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. What is Aragorn's tax policy? You know, like it depends. What we were saying earlier about how we overanalyze shit. Well, that could be used for a force of good too, because it was channeled, and then we got Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Martin was like
not,
less pages describing his tunic, more pages describing his tax policy. That is peak fantasy.
I mean,
did Tolkien never play Crusader Kings? What was his government set? Well, who picked?
actually
did this cancel?
But do you think the final book or books will actually ever be published?
No.
Yeah,
No.
It'll be a Wheel of Time thing.
Not unless he gets AI to
Whereas
write
his
them.
son will take. Does he have it?
No,
Does he have
it'll be a Wheel of Time thing where a protege will take over.
Here's the thing. When Terry Pratchett died, God bless him, my favorite writer of all time.
Yay, Terry.
When
Bless
he
Terry
died,
Pratchett.
Poor George got inundated by so many emails of people showing pictures of him dead, being like, TikTok, when's our book? That apparently scared him even to less likely to finish it. Because especially after how badly the last season was received, he's terrified of letting them down. But also, he's getting on in years and he spends most of his time getting shit-faced on his mid-tier wine.
I'm sorry,
as you do as an author.
Yeah,
I'm
he has
going
reached peaks. Same with Lucas.
I'm going to read the books. I'm going to ignore that thing on TV. But it would be
We
nice.
have like 8 chapters of the next book out, don't we? Or
Yeah,
8
and
or
I know
4?
that so it's not as if it's completely there, but I understand also it needs heavy editing, and
It does.
so
But he's also hiding behind the TV shows, which I do love. This Knights of the Seven out so far. That's some pretty good shit.
but still, it'd be nice to get.
It would be nice to get the damn books out.
He shouldn't be a
Wouldn't
coward.
I know a similar.
Well, he can do what he wants with his baby. We shouldn't treat him like a sack of shit, but I would like it. I would like if he got up off his fat ass, sit down in front of his computer, and just do what he said to one time during an interview. The best way of dealing with writer's block is just opening up a writing program and just type anything. Delete it afterwards, but at some point, something will flow.
The best way of dealing with what writer's block is to know that you are not going to eat tomorrow if you don't publish a book.
Yes. And he's past that point now. He doesn't have to worry about that. So he's going to die a failure because of success.
I know a similar mentality of
Task
wanting
failed
more detail.
successfully.
That similar mentality is like birthed other interesting projects, like Vintage Story being birthed off of Minecraft. If you don't know what that is,
It's a good game.
It's yes, thank you. It's another voxel-based survival game, but you actually have a lot of real-world details here. Like you have to go through all of the steps required in basically the real world to make iron.
I'm more of a 4D miner guy myself. I think 3 dimensions is too limiting for my voxel-based gameplay.
That's fair.
Voxel-based games, it'll never take off.
Yeah, too
It-
blocky.
it'll-
Total meme.
It'll take off as I
Have you
see,
seen the
like,
graphics? Who wants that?
Exactly.
Actually, you want to see the graphics? We pull this up right now and spend 12 hours waiting on my mod list to let me load a world.
A Nexus Mod Manager Survivor 2. Good.
No, it
Can
just
we-
has a
Yeah.
Can we talk really quick about one thing that we've tiptoed around a couple of times but haven't actually like dug our
boy.
teeth into, and it is
Uh-oh.
changing media. So something that is a book that becomes a movie that becomes a game, or something that is a
Yeah.
game that tries to become a movie or spawns books, or movies that spawn books, because that is a whole thing. So if you want to talk about like R.R. Martin, right? One of the problems is trying to like take Tolkien and turn Tolkien into a 3-part series, but then trying to also turn The Hobbit into a 3-movie series. It shouldn't have been 3 movies. It should have been maybe a mini series.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well, you
whereas
actually-
Terry
you're
Pratchett's
missing one. you're missing
incredibly
one
successful.
subset.
Yeah, no,
You're
absolutely.
missing
please, by all
one
means.
subset. The subset of creators that say, I just want to create whatever the fuck I want and slap the brand name on it. Like you got with like, let's say the Witcher series, like whether you like it or not, the writers literally admitted to
I'm
hating The
sorry, do
Witcher.
you mean
Well,
something
his
like...
Geralt and our
Halo.
Geralt are two different things.
Well, if you're
Right.
talking something along the lines of like, oh, we're just making this because we slap this IP on it because it's gonna make us money, a la Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, that doesn't even have,
Halo.
it's not even changing mediums, it's still just a video game, but why is Banjo-Kazooie on this?
Right.
Fucking
No, I mean
Halo.
that happens all the time. Like that's why Henry Cavill left both Superman and Witcher. He was like, the character really wouldn't do this. This really isn't accurate to the character. We can tell new stories, but can we stay true to the character? And the writer's like, get the fuck out of here.
What was the what was in The Witcher? What was one of the was it Eskel or
Get outta
Lambert who
here,
they
nerd.
butchered his personality.
What's that?
I'm not sure.
I remember talking with the final girlie about this. We both love the books and we both love the games, and obviously the shows are heavily based off the games rather than the books. But the other Witchers besides Geralt, they're all garbage.
Yeah.
Why? What was the artistic vision of that? Just to make Geralt look better?
On the other hand, they
Well-
also could have made a Witcher series and not had Geralt be the main character. They could have made up their own Witcher.
True.
Let me give you an
It's the
idea.
same
I want to tell
argument
you
for
what
Halo.
was in the head of the writers at the time. So you know how in the first season, all of the soldiers of I forget which land are in those weird wrinkly leather armor suits. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Okay, those were intentionally made to look like wrinkly penises, so that you would understand that they represent the patriarchy.
Ah, of course.
Oh, okay.
I seize.
The writers literally admitted to hating the Witcher franchise and wanting to tell their own story.
Oh, it's like
Oh,
first few
Halo.
seasons of Enterprise, where they were too ashamed to strap the Star Trek logo on the
Yeah,
front
they
of
did
it.
do that.
Yeah, that's some old lore.
Well, maybe what that means is that the people who are big lore purists will like the Henry Cavill 40K show because he's at the helm of that. So if
I
anything
really
isn't
hope
lore
he's been
accurate, he'll
keeping-
be like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
He's
heard
also
he's got
helming,
Gilliman.
Having Henry Cavill at the
Heard that
head
as a
of
rumor.
The
I don't think he
Witcher?
is.
If Henry Cavill's at the head of The Witcher, it's the kind of the same idea as having Ryan Reynolds at the head of Deadpool. Like somebody who
That would be
actually
cool.
cares and actually likes and enjoys the thing that they're actually making,
Well,
as
no,
opposed to just being there for a
Henry's
job.
going to be in charge of the 40K show.
He's also in charge of Highlander.
Make him in
they're
charge
making
of
a
Ooh.
Again,
Highlander
is an
movie.
interesting choice.
Yeah.
I mean, those sequel
Um,
movies were so bad, Spoonie got his career off them.
I honestly hope that
Yeah.
Gilliman is not a main character in the show because the
No,
problem is
Smurfs.
it's not the Smurfs, right? The problem is that there's a lot of characters in 40K that are very hard to relate to and to understand what the deal is unless you're well versed in the lore. And throwing you into like, okay, so Henry Cavill is playing a 10,000-year-old clone, but not really a clone, who might actually be like the congealed warp essence of a minor warp god who has been in stasis for 10,000 years. But then an elf lady woke him up with the help of a cyborg man, and now he runs a 10,000.
I already want to push you into a
Right.
locker, dude.
Yeah, this is
That should
this
not
is
be your
like
main character. Your main
too
character should
deep
be
in the
a guy.
weeds for the average person.
Yeah.
I remember Warlocracy talking about this, where he went to a Korean sort of like StarCraft contest, like an esports thing, with a friend who loved Age of Empires, and he was like, "All right, so what's happening here on screen?" And he had to explain all this shit to him, and he turned around, and this guy was just like, his face was just that anime still image where his face is black and white and there's like lines going through it.
Yeah.
And Warlocracy is like, if this guy who isn't a normie doesn't get this shit, no wonder esports will never be big.
Yeah.
Like,
Look,
you are asking too much of the average.
There's a way to
person.
do the 40K story as a show where people do not need to have a background in 40K lore, right?
Yeah.
You make the show about a guy. And if you want to do with like a Space Marine or something, fine, do a Space Marine. But
No,
what
let's
you
get
do
Guard.
is you start. Well,
Let's
I
get Gaunt's
prefer
Ghost
that,
here.
but like, I feel like Henry Cavill might have a thing for power.
You
armor.
legit need
But you
to
say-
just make it nobody. You need to make it
But
just
yeah,
generic.
it's
Well, the
a
problem
guy-
is Henry
It's
Cavill's
working great
a
for
nerd.
Star Wars.
No,
Let
he
me
wants to
finish the
strap on
sentence,
power
people.
armor.
Let me finish the sentence. So you make a guy, if you want him to ultimately be a Space Marine, sure, fine, but make him start as an aspirant. But he's just some guy who himself doesn't know much about the world, because then you get to have the audience proxy. So
Yep.
even if it's about a Space Marine, he's an aspirant from some feral world. So you start off the show, and he's just a guy who lives in a cave, and he's like, I don't know, 12 or something, and he fights off some giant alien monster. And then in the second episode, or that's the first episode, that ends with like a drop pod coming down, and some big Space Marine guy says, "You're coming with me." And then we find out about Space Marine
No,
aspirant
I gotta
trials.
push back on you there, Dapper. Because they tried that with that god awful pilot for the Mechanicus Kids show, the cartoon.
Counterpoint.
Which was-
That was never a good idea, no matter what you were going to do. for the pilot.
Counterpoint. Star Wars Episode 4. Luke
Yeah, that's
Skywalker is butt fuck McNobody, and he's not really part of anything. He knows a little bit that there's some stuff, and he's basically may as well be living in a cave, drinking blue milk, whatever.
But
He doesn't
how
know
many
anything about what's going
started with
on.
that? You know,
Okay,
this is
okay,
for
and I
people
will
who
add
know
But you're not
it.
gonna start with Darth Vader being like, so once upon a time, there was this whole race called the Sith on this one planet, and this
It's-
other
it's
group
the
of
same-
people
A lot of
bend
people-
like
I-
with
I-
Force
I
power.
I went to theaters, you kids who never watched the originals but watched the prequels.
Okay, but let
So
me
that
let me
did
let me back
happen.
up what Chesh said though. Look at how successful the Fallout series has been, and they basically did that. It starts off with a girl in a vault who knows nothing about the outside world. They just show you her little world, which is pretty easy to explain, and then they can slowly add in more of this lore over time as she explores the world. It's a great way to do it.
I would also
Yeah.
like to reference
Generally.
literally every single isekai anime that has ever exists for this
You
reason.
mean 90% of them that are slop because it's just
It
a
doesn't matter.
throwaway
Not
concept?
not just
the reason that exists as a trope is because if you have some deep lore, you need someone for the audience to have who's there, who can have lore tidbits explained to them as they become relevant, without it just being a gigantic, like David Lynch
Exposition,
Dune
yeah.
exposition dump at the beginning that takes up like
I
a
don't
quarter of
want
the
that
movie.
either. I think that is one of the biggest. The Dune, until the new movies came out, Dune was, I personally think, impossible to get on screen because people tried to take it either to whatever the hell they wanted or too literal, and then want to
I
get
actually
every word on the paper.
I disagree. I think the
I think we just
sci-fi
lost
series
Ansgard.
that they did, the sci-fi
Yeah, we
mis-
are.
or they
Sorry,
renamed-
you just froze,
Arnsgar,
you
can
gotta
you?
back
back, back,
yes.
no, seriously, back
Pause.
bef-
Restart. You pause, so start again.
can
Yeah,
you
you froze.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I would say that the sci-fi series, Frank Herbert's Dune, actually would refute what you said. I think that was probably
The
best.
one that killed Mystery Science Theater.
I honestly think that series, that miniseries, that original miniseries, was actually pretty good back before they changed their name to Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I know the one you
and-
had it on DVD.
yeah.
I had both
Yeah.
versions, a German one too.
It's actually pretty good. I think the new one, its biggest issue is it suffers from, Hollywood. We were just talking about this, where everything starts to look the same, particularly that everything needs to be, as Snyder-esque black and gray, and all the color is
I was
gone.
kind of okay with that. I was thinking more along the lines of the pacing of the movie. The only thing I have to say was Carino, Christopher Walken did not get enough screen time.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree. There. Don't get me wrong. There are some nuggets that are beautiful in the new movie.
Oh, some of those still images, like when the Atreides get their rate of change with the fucking the oval ship that lands. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Big
but they also, I think, have whitewashed Paul Atreides a bit too much, because I mean, he really is the villain of the stories, right? Like, he's not the good guy, but I think they've whitewashed him a bit too much.
Would you say Duncan Idaho is the only real, maybe good person there in the whole series?
Yeah, I mean, even whatever little bad things you might say that he's supporting by being loyal to these bad people are done out of not selfish reasons. He's just raised in a system where this is what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it starts with something that's hard to follow, kind of like the Foundation series in a lot of ways, where by the end of it, it's borderline gibberish. Chapter House Dune is when I'm like, oh, fuck this noise. I like a lot of I'll leave this Quinn's ideas, okay?
Yeah.
Like I can't handle this shit right now.
The first book of Dune is pretty good. By the time you get to about the third book, it's just like, what the hell is even happening?
Yeah, they expect you to know words.
If it's a trilogy, it might have been passable, but
I'd be excited for some rendition of Hyperion. That would be kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But I've heard good things about
as I
Hyperion.
say, there are book series that last, like the Hitchhiker's Guide trilogy. That's there. That kept going because Adam just
that's just art from start to finish. Art from start to finish. Yeah.
But this what happened to the Star Wars that whole series is dead to me is really quite disgusting. The Silicon Graphics efforts we had in episode 1 and 2, we got to see again the basically the excessive control that who had over the movie would come in and make gratuitous changes to the set because he could, and the result is that you got all these graphics problems that would occur.
Insert joke about Jeffrey or about Jeff Goldblum. We didn't ask if we should. We only did it because we could.
And it's kind of interesting that the episode 1. The big thing was that was a transition towards having digital Star Wars, and they did like the Darth Maul fight scene consumed 40% of the computer budget of the entire film,
and it's starting to show its age, especially when he falls down the tube.
But at the time, it was a really good thing. But that was a sort of a set. But then the notion of where
some of the other parts of the film stand up. You just don't look too closely in the background,
And people were objecting to that thing and saying, "Well, no." He would say, "No, this is for the kids. I want plushy toys," and do it anyway.
Well, he's been doing that since the Ewoks.
So sharing my bit of Star Wars experience. So for me, Star Wars is the original trilogy and some of the expanded universe that happened before the original prequels launched. That's for me is Star Wars. Everything else has been kind of
So the Star Wars Holiday Special is canon to you.
What about Tarkovsky?
So I respect the hustle. I don't know if I think you'll see heaven, but
and when you were 7,
I'll never forget when my kid tried to show me some Star Wars cartoon that he was into, and the characters literally put up double-ended lightsabers and flew away like a fucking helicopter. And I was like, "This is Star Wars."
I guarantee you that was the Clone Wars.
And so but this is sort of the Disney type stuff.
What about Tarkovsky?
So that when I was finally, although working, so in terms of 4, 5, and 6, where we did a lot of movie restoration of those prints, I was interesting. But when I saw 7, it's like, okay, they're going in a different direction. See, but in 8, when I started seeing 8, I walked out of the film.
Oh,
We were
8, they
there and
literally went. Okay, so in 8, the director of 8 literally said, all those plot threads and things that the last director hinted at. Yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah, and I would say it wasn't a premiere, but it was a hey,
Yeah.
you worked on Star Wars, you get to see this thing, and I just at the middle of stuff, I forget quite where it was, but I basically said I'm sorry, and so I walked out on 8. I've never seen 9, and I don't give a damn about any of the things following because Disney it's just gone. Right?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm with Landon.
I'm
I didn't
with you.
walk out of 8, but I didn't see 9. And as I was in the car I saw it with my father, my brother-in-law, his brother, and his wife. And so we're all packed into this car like sardines, and we're all none of us have said a single word since the movie. And we're about halfway back to my my father's house, which is where we were all meeting up for carpool and whatnot. And my brother-in-law turned, looked around the car, and said, "Hey, that was a really bad movie, right?" And then we're all just like, yes, it was a really bad movie. And we was like, oh, he's like, okay.
It's like the pressure had to be released because of the title. Star Wars doesn't do bad movies. I guess they fucking do now.
Well, no.
Yeah.
There was
and
episode 2.
And I don't care if you say, yeah, but this news
I like
blah, blah, blah.
2
Sorry, right? Move on.
Okay, there's a lot of bad scenes in episode 8. I have to say my favorite is Rose telling, we don't, after stopping a dude, after stopping Finn from basically saving everyone, going, oh, we don't stop evil by killing what we hate. Why do we do it by saving what we love? While in the background there's giant explosions of everyone they love dying.
Yeah,
I think it was the floaty Leia thing. That's probably the one.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, because you see,
puppeted
Carrie Fisher just passed. They needed to make it extra special. Like no,
she Mary Poppins through space. That was.
I personally like a lot of the shows that have come out. Not all. Andor did not need to be a Star Wars show. It could have been anything, and it would have been brilliant.
Sure.
Oh,
just don't call it Star Wars. Just stop the franchise. Move on to something else.
But Mando is pretty good. Skeleton Crew is pretty good, and I want more shows that don't have anything to do with the Force.
I feel like a lot of these franchises suffer from just like IP burnout, where it's like 100%. This would have been better if you had just made something new and unique instead of relying on an IP that doesn't necessarily apply or need to be used.
But they can't take that risk anymore. They haven't been able to take that risk in years.
I want to remind everyone that you are in fact X-mirrored on StreamYard. So if you're Landon and you point towards Chesh, what you're actually doing is pointing towards Ansgar.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
But I would like to, I would point out, I would disagree with Lev a little bit. They are clearly very much able to do so. They're just not because capitalism.
They're very no,
but it might as well be the same result because the end result is going to be the same thing.
Well, but it's applying the raw. Like I would disagree in that it's applying the wrong factor. Right, because they're responsible and they can. If you say they just can't, then they're not responsible for it, and they're absolutely.
It's not like their heads will explode Scanner style if they were to go and pick up an indie script from the 90s up and be like, let's do this with a bunch of no names and let's give it all the money in the world. No,
it would be fun if that was what happened.
I have serious burnout just for superhero movies in general, and also the superhero movie like format. In fact, I've had superhero movie burnout since like Thor 2. I'm just kind of done.
You also don't need.
Well, I mean, Thor 2 is the one to put your fork down and say.
You also
it was so bad.
You also don't need to rely on the same characters over and over again. You can do things in the same universe and expand the universe and actually add things to it. But at the same time, you also don't need to spend shitloads of money to make something new and unique. So this excuse of like, well, we're not just going to take a bunch of nobodies and shove a shit ton of money into this IP that doesn't have any kind of guarantee. Because you've got two main things. Sorry, I'll just finish real quick, and then because
sorry.
you're probably right, but I just want to finish it off. You have things like
I'm gonna let you
people
finish.
doing this in indie games, and you have people doing it in movies. For example, you've got Markiplier's massive success, but Markiplier took a whole lot of dedication to be able to do what he wanted to do. But also, you could have Disney, instead of spending $1 bajillion doing this one thing, they could slash the budget into thirds and make 3 more unique things with maybe less known people.
I'm out of the loop with Markiplier. What is he doing now?
Oh, he came out with a movie.
An indie horror movie.
And especially
cool.
it works really well with horror, and horror gets shit on for some reason, even though horror is like the one place where you're still allowed to be crazy
genre.
and do nonsense shit. Yeah.
So
it just doesn't win
2
awards.
points that
That's
kind of
why.
add to. So 2 points that kind of add to yours. One is, look at, for instance, I know I'm the Godzilla dork here, but look at what Godzilla.
I think Dapper is, but
minus.
Dapper would
Dapper,
Let
no,
them
Dapper
fight.
and I have had deep Godzilla conversations
True.
on social media.
Yeah.
So don't
We
worry
can
about
share
it.
the title of the Godzilla dork. It's fine.
Fair enough. So
Dapper and I
Godzilla
have
minus
never had a
one, which is one of my
conversation
favorite
Oh my God,
movies
it's so
ever,
good.
by the way, did amazing work with a shoestring of the budget that Hollywood did, and ended up with a more realistic movie than
I'm
what
excited for
Hollywood
Minus
has
Zero.
been producing lately.
Oh yeah, me too.
But also look at the way Hollywood is wasting money on special effects right now. Just as an example, in what I don't even remember what Marvel movie it was, right? There's a scene where they've got their actor and he's just sitting in a normal apartment, regular apartment, right? And he's sitting in a nice big comfy chair and he's got a gun in his hand. Samuel L. Jackson, by the way. And if you look at the actual scene from where it went on film to what it is in reality, he's literally on a green screen, and even the gun in his hand is just a stick that they digitized in later. So they couldn't even be bothered to build a set for just a regular apartment, and or make a prop for a regular ass gun.
Yeah,
I know.
or go
is a
into the
problem.
prop set and find a suitable gun and use that.
You should just go into a big bin. This is why you used to
think
see Lord of the Rings props show up in tons of like budget sort of fantasy stuff.
Thank
It's
you.
Urukai
Sure.
blades. Oh, I noticed that. Everyone noticed that. The big flat blades showing up in tons of stuff.
My
on,
favorite
like,
one is the
City
3
channel.
tubes. The 3 tubes that light up that don't do anything, but they're in the background of virtually like every sci-fi movie or anything from like through the 80s and the 90s. They're just all over the place. They showed up in Star Trek. They were in Airplane. I think they were in They Live. Like they were everywhere. There's one prop.
Love me tubes.
I could go on a tangent about how, especially in the early 90s, Fox used to cannibalize its own sets to take items from one thing and bring over to the other. But I want to get back to what we were talking about earlier about, because this ties into back to gaming. Like the answer to a lot of people's problems, the best of both worlds, is not the AAA games and it's not the indie games, because indie games have a barrier to a lot of average people that it's those own people's bullshit hangups, but and maybe not great marketing. But you
barrier
know
to entry is important.
But the thing is, double A games, things like Hellblade, Secure Sacrifice, that had a little bit of a budget into it, but nothing compares to
Warframe.
Helldivers
2. What's the game I'm playing at? Hard Space Shipbreakers. Like that doesn't have that much of it. I've been streaming that on and off. That is some good. Even the first Witcher was from a nobody once. Even Witcher 2 was, who the fuck is CD Projekt Red unless you're in the know. And that's obviously when it blew up. But like, you can get the best of both worlds, but you have to get the money men to sit down and hear that and be like, so instead of the 100% money you'll get straight away, you'll get, and before you even finish that sentence, they're already walking out the door. Now you've lost.
Let me touch on what you just said. So the early video game industry wasn't ruled by the money men. The early
No,
video
Atari
game industry,
something.
the artists literally owned the studio. They hired money men to help them manage the business, and eventually the money men completely took over. So one of the biggest problems we're having is all of these artistic, creative industries are completely controlled by money men, and that doesn't help.
Hey guys,
Thanks,
surprise,
EA.
surprise, the problem is capitalism.
It always comes back to capitalism.
Yeah.
Or at the
So-
very least, unregulated capitalism, right?
So
Or
one of the-
poorly
One
regulated.
of the things I'm concerned about in terms of these franchises is what might be happening to the Star Trek universe, where I think people sort of see, well, we can put out a Star Trek thing. You just have a little bit of the music, and you have a Klingon, and you have a ship and thing, and then you do what you want. And
A Klingon singular.
isn't that so sort of, but I mean, these are the studio people say, throw this in there, and then let's get the residuals in the game and blah blah blah. And I'm concerned that Star Trek universe might be heading that way of the Star Wars. I don't say it's there yet, but people
it's
that sort of
definitely going that direction. Yeah.
I mean, and I found people take extreme liberties and say it's Star Trek in name only, but it tends maybe it's dark, it goes counter to the general set, and so what do you think? What do you think about the history, or I mean the future of the Star Trek and franchise?
I'm worried. I'm generally worried because Star Trek has always been for me better than Star Wars. Star Wars is fun. Star Wars I don't even consider sci-fi. Star Wars I consider space fantasy.
Yeah.
Right. But Star Trek has always been on the cutting edge of hell, it's been on the bleeding edge of social issues. It's been it's been challenging social norms. It's been from the very beginning sort of at the forefront of social commentary. It is doing exactly what sci-fi is meant to do, but it's not doing that anymore. Right. It's becoming more and more. I mean, ever since the Abrams Trek, really, it's becoming more sort of a candy popcorn flick kind of Star Trek. And
it even tackled what it was. A lot of people forget this because nowadays it's treated like the mecca of all the shows. But DS9 was not very well received when it first came out because a lot of people said that it wasn't a Star Trek. I was going to say Star Wars, Star Trek show, because they were going exploring. It said it had to do with politics and interpersonal relationships and all this weird stuff about religion and yeah. Now we know this for what it is. Really good. Good. But back then, a lot of people were bitching. So they always push boundaries. And what was like the last...
But I'm certain people say, well, let's make it dark, and let's make it dystopian and so forth. And leave it
you got a story to tell. That's fine by me.
I have a very different take on that because I don't think it's necessarily if the goal of Star Trek is to make political commentary about what is happening in the real world or what will happen in the real world in the future, it makes an incredibly competent point for it to currently be dystopian in its viewpoint, particularly when it's being produced in the United States.
I get that, but also
I wouldn't say the thing is I think you have the goal messed up. I don't think the goal is to be a prediction of the future. I think the goal is to show a better future. I think the goal is to show
Gene was
what
a visionary.
would be.
I agree to that with a point, but I think that falls on deaf ears when you're dealing with the type of social situation the world is in. It's right now Star Trek is acting as more of a warning than like a
let me push back on that. The Orville did that exactly what you're talking about in way better ways. In fact, they had episodes talking about trans issues and trans rights in ways that even conservatives were saying this is a great episode, this is how you do it.
Yeah,
So
I'm certainly not saying it's perfect and it could be done better for sure. Absolutely. The Orville is fantastic.
It's done terribly because they've abandoned what it is that makes Star Trek Star Trek. They've abandoned the hope. They've abandoned the the optimistic idea of the future.
Hold on, I got to side with Chesh here because, and I mentioned it earlier. Do you remember what happens in the mid-tier foundation books? It all falls apart. Their hopes and dreams get skewered into something more, into something new. And that's because, simply put, Gene was a hell of a dreamer. Not all dreams can make it to life. And his idea of the Federation of the future was kind of childish in a lot of ways.
There's also a degree of, like, I can appreciate the Orville for what it is, and I think at the end of the day what it comes down to is that unfortunately homogeny is a problem and it seeps into Star Trek, right? I think we can all agree on that. But I do think
I
that
would agree if you meant homogeneity instead of homogeny, which isn't a word.
Dapper, I thought you weren't a linguist.
Yeah.
He's not.
I'm just a pedant.
See, I've been around long enough, even I get the meme now.
Unless you mean
This fucking
hegemony.
guy. This
But
fucking guy.
carry on, Kesha, you're saying your thoughts.
The issue, to, like, in my mind, I think it makes it more jarring that Star Trek is like, no, we're not giving you hope right now because that's not what we're doing. This is the path that we're on right now. It's stark for something like Star Trek that is generally known for this, like, hopeful outlook to be like, we're fucked!
But
I like that idea.
But
I think having a
our
blueprint for something better is important.
If you want, we're fucked. We could do 40K.
So earn it.
but
I
That's
am
my
doing
response.
40K.
back.
Well,
okay,
but you still have it. You
War-
already brought up the alternative that's already doing that, and it's the Orville.
But
if the Orville's
but
already
here's the
providing
thing.
it, we don't need it from both spaces.
Well, no, the Orville's canceled. But no, hold on.
Well, yeah.
People turn to Star Trek. I think have turned to Star Trek as a model of how to do things, right? Not as a model of what not to do. We already know what not to do. We already know that we're fucked.
Really?
What
Then why do we
wanna
keep
see
doing
is
it?
how do we unfuck ourselves? What could be the ideal of the future? And that's what I loved about Star Trek.
I think, Ansgar, you're right, because a lot of these series, it starts off and they get a villain or a set of villains, and it seems like the villains are unbeatable and nothing's going to work. But eventually, they come out, and then guess what? A future series, the villain is now part of the team.
Well, yeah, there's
enemy
lots
is now
of
part of
there's
A
lots
lot of
of
anime are
that.
like that.
So I'm not. There's something about, to me, that is like we were talking about earlier. You shouldn't only be looking to Star Trek for the same thing over and over and over again. We were just praising how we want new and different ideas and different things, but as soon as Star Trek does something different, we just start shitting on it.
But new
Right?
IPs.
Well, new and
But I
well,
want
new
a new
IPs as well.
But I want
But
a new
even
IP.
like
I
the old
don't
IP.
want Star Trek to fundamentally change what Star Trek is.
All right,
But-
Chesh,
Okay, I've got.
Chesh, hold on. We're in a game together,
Yeah.
right? In a Star Trek
Uh-huh.
game.
Yeah.
How many times has it seemed like? Oh, first of all, I think you're having fun with the game. I think
you
the
in the
audience is
GURPS?
having fun. No, we're playing Star Trek Adventures. Are you
Oh,
having fun with
cool.
the game, Chesh? Is it a good time?
Yes, I'm having a good time.
Okay.
And as
How
someone in
many
the audience,
times-
I have fun watching you guys.
How
have
many
fun.
times has it seemed like the way forward in the game that we're all having fun with, and it's a really good Star Trekky time, was to, like, brutally torture someone and pull their eyeball out?
We haven't tried
The
that.
Federation way.
So that doesn't
No,
seem
I'm
to be
not
the
saying-
type
I'm
of
not
game we're
saying how many times
playing,
have
but
we?
yeah.
Where
Just
real
you have
Federation
options.
officer would.
You know why we're not? You know why we're not playing that type of game? Because we're playing fucking Star Trek. When I start Wrath and Glory, you know what? Pulling someone's eyeball out might suddenly become a very viable and important idea.
But I
But
would
while
like
we're
to
playing
point out,
Star
but
Trek, that's not the
there
shit
is
we're doing.
literally nothing stopping you from doing Star Trek in a grotesque way if you wanted to do that and saying that
I
it
want to
was.
see one where
But
the
let me finish.
Federation loses.
But
But
let
no
me
one
Have to
finish.
deal with
that.
the consequences of
No one
losing,
wants
giving
that.
everything that they had and still lose.
But let
I
me
would love
finish.
to see that. And it needs to be a slow, sad, realistic grind. Again, DS9 got it so close. They were talking about attacking Earth and all that. I don't think I'd want to see that,
They
but
did
maybe
attack
like the Breen attacked Earth, which fuck yeah, the Breen. Like I want to see a setting on Star Trek where this optimistic sort of, dare I say, starry-eyed idea of the Federation faces kind of like how the Borg couldn't be influenced with until the writers took over, and then it became, oh, here's the Borg Queen. Fuck off. They should be a faceless mass of death coming towards you.
Complete and a good point, Lev. But Chet, complete your thought as far as where you were going. I'm curious.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I think that there's a value to seeing an undermined expectation in something that you're used to that gives you a different perspective. Now, that doesn't mean that I think all of Star Trek should change and become grimdark. I'm not saying that that's what should happen. I don't think that would necessarily be a good idea, either from a money standpoint nor from an IP standpoint. But I also don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to explore an entirely different perspective of an IP that you're already familiar with.
I'm okay with that, but the problem is that the modern Star Trek just seems to be following the Star Wars. Hey, we subverted your expectations, therefore art.
Well, it depends on how you do it, right?
Yeah, if it's done poorly, it's done poorly. I think them doing it poorly is them doing it poorly is independent from the concept being explored.
Here's the thing, though.
Knights of the Seven is full of that. It opens up with the music, and it's all just absolutely like over the top, and then it just cuts like over the top and heroic and all that. It cuts to a character having explosive diarrhea. There's a sort of showing you they're like, hey, we know what our IP is about. This one's a little more lighthearted.
An example that might be a little bit more successful in sort of what we're talking about, but making maybe a little bit of a tertiary side, is the Lower Decks. The Lower Decks is weird. It's kind of gross. It's got... But it is different, right?
I've heard to say you hate the Lower Decks.
My problem with the Lower Decks is it isn't just subverting expectations. It literally shits on the idea of optimism. It literally says, yeah, you know all those ideals that we tried to say were really awesome with Star Trek? Yeah, fuck that. That's stupid.
Like DS9 or a good chunk of Voyager.
Okay, no,
they never said
that
optimism and higher ideals were
Hold on, Ansgar. There's an entire actually, there's a 2-episode arc in which the captain of the ship from Lower Decks is arrested, and our main character, one of our main characters, Mariner Beckett, goes on this whole illegal adventure to try and exonerate her, only to find out that, in fact, when her father said to trust the system and that the Federation would do the right thing, he was right about that. Her whole ridiculous stealing of replica like Phoenix and going on these stupid hijinks that only got her in trouble only resulted in stupid stuff because she wasn't following the ideals and the procedures of the Federation.
I haven't gotten past the first season.
Many episodes about that are Beckett Mariner realizing that her cynical view on Starfleet, while there are times when it's reasonable, overall is actually not right. And the series ends with her and her buddies deciding, you know what? Starfleet was more or less right the whole time, and we're going to dedicate ourselves to a career in Starfleet.
Watching however many seasons it is to get to
I'm
that.
just saying,
when the entire
syndrome is not an
when the entire first season is the main character saying, "Oh, I really want to live up to these cool ideas," and basically the character that you're clearly meant to side with is going, "That's fucking stupid. You're a dork. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna check out, dude." Like if this was some other show, fine, but you put the Star Trek label on it, and I expect more.
I think that there's a degree of this as well that applies it to, like, it's Star Trek, therefore the first season's it's going to take a hot minute to get its footing.
Yeah, everyone's got to find their footing, you know?
Yeah. But, like, yeah, I do think that the overall arc of Lower Decks is not Starfleet and Star Trek is dumb. It is that there is a middle ground between leaden, literal adherence to procedure and rules versus the idea that, oh, the rules are stupid, so we should always ignore them, when you realize that there are reasons for all of these.
Hold on. The original Trek already had that with how many times did Kirk say, the literal rules conflict with our ideals, and so I'm sticking to our ideals over the rules.
Right.
So we already had that. But for the most part, Lower Decks is very cynical with, Starfleet is stupid, and you're stupid for trying to want to be more than what you are.
It's not. What you're doing is you're assuming that Beckett Mariner is our our
if you-
sympathetic character.
Protagonist.
But the
if
problem
all I
she
ever
isn't.
watch is the first season, that's what that's
All
what
right,
the
that
framing
maybe.
of the show makes it seem like. And I'm not watching additional seasons to have
right.
that all pay off. It's not.
But what I'm
happening.
telling you is, if that is their takeaway from the show, it is an inaccurate characterization of the message of the show, which is that we have two opposing. Actually, we have a bunch of opposing characters who oppose in various ways. But one of the big ones is we have one character who only ever wants to follow the rules, and we have another character who never does. And over the course of various character arcs, we find out that neither of them is right. There is
If
some
you
time
take-
somewhere in the middle.
Hold on. If you take though, if you only make it seem as a one character's right for a certain like a long period of time in your show, right? Then until you pay that off, that character is right.
I think that there's a couple things with that. I think we're dealing with a problem of you kind of have to get over the first season of any Star Trek, whatever Star Trek it is, because Star Trek every Star Trek has this issue of the first season being a bit of a slog. TNG had it, the original had it, Voyager had it, DS9 had it.
I can take a slog, but when it seems like the first season is literally shitting on the thing that I came here to watch because I like it, I'm gonna check out.
Well,
I mean, fair, but that's a personal
I
preference
liked it
at that point.
because it knew. Yeah, I was about to say, do the whole dude from The Big Lebowski. That's just your opinion, man. Like that is not how I read season.
Check out for now.
It's my opinion.
You know.
No, check out for now and wait for the second season to actually do well, and then come back.
No, here's the thing. If in the first, here's my rule, because I don't want to like wasting my time on shows I don't like. If in the first 2 episodes you haven't grabbed me, I'm gone.
2. I always go
Two.
by 3.
Three.
Yeah.
90s.
I
go 2.
I do 3. I think it depends. I do 3.
And then
if
movies,
it
it's
is,
15 minutes.
I've never walked out of a movie.
For 3, for anime it gets 3 episodes because anime is laid out generally in the same kind
We
of
do
way.
have a rule just
For me,
for anime, but
third season of One Punch Man, I had to walk out.
Oh yeah, no, fair. That's legit.
I've heard
No, but
so
really,
many bad things about the
movies. 50. You have 15 minutes to grab me. For shows, you have 2 episodes, and there have been shows where I've gone longer than that, just because, like, okay, I'm not quite sure I'm on the edge.
Have you considered like starting in the center as opposed to starting at the first episode though?
No,
I was just taking
No.
jump
That
around.
might
all
be
the
worth your
shows
time.
run and just
Nah.
see.
You have to wait for it to establish then.
If you can't grab my interest in 2 episodes, you're out.
Are you
That's
like this with
valid. I
books,
mean,
too?
it's a big world. You've got tons of other media,
Yeah,
tons
that's
of
the
other
thing.
non-media things to do.
Exactly that. I have a
That's
million
fine.
things that
I
could be
agree with
watching.
that. It's just when it comes
Yeah.
down to this specific take on Lower Decks, I don't agree with you. But the overall principle, what
Oh,
we're
well, I
saying,
think
You
that's-
don't.
I think
valid.
Listen.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think the
expect
principle-
anyone to agree with me. This is my very personal opinion. But I felt the first season, and I tried to watch the entire first season. I did, but I felt the first season was so cynical and so like, yeah, you know all that stuff you love about Star Trek? That's stupid. Shut up, nerd. Get in the locker. That's the message I got from Lower Decks. Now, if they pay that off in further seasons, I didn't watch it. I'm not gonna. That's not the message I got from them, and I went to watch other things.
I think that there's also like a degree too of like when it's something that you care about and you're interested in, and it's something that you already know is going to struggle for its first season, just watch your first 2 episodes starting in season 2.
Well, no. Struggling in the first season, I don't mind, right? Like, it's the problem is I felt like the first season was completely antithetical to what I want out of Star Trek.
it was like an insult when you saw it for the first time.
Exactly. It felt like fuck you for liking Star Trek.
And you know what? I did not get that vibe. I can see maybe, I don't know, maybe because it's maybe the first ever comedy Star Trek ever, that maybe that I can kind of see how you would just be like, this is something important to me and you're not taking it with respect. But at the same, I don't know. I think if there was at a point where I agree with you, you went off past the point.
Well,
where
where it started for me, where it started and they started building was when it's like, yeah, you know those Starfleet officers you look up to that embody all these wonderful ideas. Yeah, they're actually pieces of shit. Stop looking up to
They
them.
were never pieces of shit.
And
in season
then-
one.
Hold on.
In
And then,
season one,
and then in the very first episode, she tells the main character, "Yeah, you know that wanting to better yourself and be better than what you are now. Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Stop it."
I need to point out, even in season one, the main characters, well, not the main characters, but the bridge crew were not, in fact, pieces of shit. In fact, even the XO, who is presented as a very cringy bro guy, in season one, manages to foil Beckett Mariner's stupid attempts to get them out of a jam, and instead takes charge as the XO, puts his life in danger, and saves the day, at which point Mariner realizes that she's been wrong about the XO the entire season, because while he is in fact a cringy gym bro dude, he is also someone who is intelligent, competent, and cares about the crew, even if he's cringe as fuck.
Now,
There's-
let me tell you a Star Trek show, modern Star Trek show I've actually been enjoying, and that would be what's that called?
Academy?
The one that's all about Captain Pike. And
Oh,
his-
Boldly
Strange
Go?
New Worlds. Strange New
Strange
New
New Worlds.
World.
I've been enjoying the fuck out of that. So just so you know, it's not that I hate all modern Star Trek. I have been enjoying.
Yeah,
the
no, I don't think
hell out of
anybody
that.
thinks that.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I mean,
no.
I don't think anyone here does, but when I
Right.
said that I didn't like Discovery, and that there were a whole lot of people who said, "Oh, you just don't like new Star Trek," and I was like, at the time, maybe that was true, but then I found other Star Trek that was
Yeah,
newer that I
right.
did like.
Hey,
All right, what's
by
everyone's
the way,
take-
Dapper, I agree with you on Discovery. You know, I stopped at near the end of season 1 and said, "Well, let me try it again."
Yeah.
And I lasted a few more things, and it's like, no,
I-
thank you.
I made it through season 1 because I told myself that I was going to finish it, and then I started season 2, and I got 2 episodes, and I was just like, nah, I'm just done.
Yeah,
'Cause
we-
I thought-
I actually
Wait, I think we
started it
terminated about the same
thinking-
time. Ironically.
I actually started it thinking that the people must be making, do culture war bullshit. The Klingons have changed. Have you seen how much they've changed between every single show? Not a problem.
Every
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
the
think
whole
we're-
sexually
up until
assaulting
then,
that
though,
one dude, turning him into a
DS9
sex
did
slave
so
was a
many
bit
changes.
interesting.
Yeah.
There were-
So
there were
I
changes
started
in
it.
Design, but they weren't. A lot of them weren't designed. Basically, in the movies,
Mhm.
in the TOS movies, there was a bit of a change because they had a higher budget.
Yeah, but look
And
at for
then-
the original.
Let-
the
well, let
We
me-
do
let me
not
finish-
speak
let me
about
finish
it
the
to
sentence.
outsiders.
And then
Hmm.
in TNG, there's another
Hmm.
minor change to the makeup style, but it's pretty
Right.
minor, and you might not notice it unless you're really paying attention. And then from that point on, TNG was the design from TNG was how Klingons looked.
100%. But look at the change from the original, where they're basically just like
Mexicans.
space Easterners. To
Yeah, they're
to
they're
the
they're
next
foreign
generation.
people. They're Fu
Right.
Manchu. They're
Yeah.
they're the Orient.
Although
They're
to
the
be fair,
dangers of
that is
communism.
how virtually all aliens were portrayed was just like, we'll put a funny skin color on them and give them a weird haircut, and that's an alien.
Yeah.
that's what
Or
they had the budget
the
for.
day the Earth stood still, where he wore the human mask, the last scene where he was the lizard man underneath.
Yeah, but there's not a good reason to have an entire empire that just wears human masks for what reason?
Yeah.
I would always like the idea of them just being always on screen. You never saw them until like a big movie reveal, and then
Oh.
they're just like bizarre. I
As
don't know, like 3 arms for no
As a
reason. just 3
non-linguist, there
arms
is
jammed
something
together.
about new Star Trek Klingons that I do appreciate, which is that
Mm.
they bothered to actually use the Klingon
You're-
constructed
You're
language.
not a non-linguist.
I am indeed a non-linguist. I have many reasons why I am not a linguist. But anyway, I do appreciate
Linguist.
that they actually started using
Yes.
the language that was constructed for the Klingons, whereas in Star Trek The Next Generation, in Deep Space Nine, in Voyager, they did not. In Enterprise, they kind of did, but it was it was recognizable that someone had sat down with the Klingon dictionary and looked some stuff up, but it was all just off in weird ways. Like there was one specific episode where there's a mining colony that the Klingons have been like shaken down every once in a while,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
the crew of the Enterprise is gonna confront them, and there's very little Klingon in the episode, but the Klingon commander of the bird of prey that's been shaking down the colony, at one point, he says into his communicator something that translates very directly into "beam me up." And then I was impressed when that happened. I was like, oh, okay, we got some actual Klingon here. But then his entire landing party beams up, and I was like, hold on. That was a singular prefix on that verb right there. He did not say beam us up.
And
He
we're
said,
right
"Beam
back
me up."
into our mom's basement. Thanks
Hey.
for throwing us back for 20
Yeah,
years
but
there,
seriously,
brother.
Well, Speaking of,
Excuse me, sir.
speaking of,
Deodorant
Fair
does
point,
not
but fair point,
degrade my
Dapper. I think-
constitution.
The
I
other
think-
two
as an
dozen
expert
Klingon
in
speakers, the other 2 dozen Klingon speakers out there also noticed actually, and we all do kind of know each other a little bit.
But I think
Speaking
having the Klingon culture
Chesh.
and consistent Klingon
Chesh,
language
go
is
quick.
important.
You can mute Landon.
Speaking of, we are coming up on our 2-hour mark, and I think this has been a pretty great show where everybody got to talk to people they either haven't talked to before or got to be back when nobody's seen them in forever.
Yeah, people get too much of me.
People get too much Dapper. But speaking of all the Star Trek stuff, you should totally check out our Star Trek TTRPG, and maybe next time I'm going to gouge somebody's eyeballs out just for the funs of it, and I'm probably going to use the jelly from their eyes on my toast because I'm a Cation, and that means that
You're
I
gonna
eat
get
people.
such a big hit to your reputation.
Also,
Oh, no.
living
Drank this
philosophy.
much.
You let
Also-
Shelby blow up an entire fucking solar system, and you're out
No,
here being
I
like,
didn't.
oh, it'd be pretty bad if you did something mean to somebody.
First of all, Chesh, Shelby did not actually blow up that solar system. That was the ancient alien ruins that did that. He
It was
just failed
the
to stop it.
ruins
There's a
that did
difference.
that.
Okay, before we
Different.
end the Star Trek discussion, I gotta find out from Landon, what's your favorite Star Trek show?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Animated series. Animated series. Animated series.
I mean, I'm torn because if you talk about acting, I think
Next Generation.
maybe
one.
it'll be somebody between Next Generation and Deep Space Nine in terms of the quality of the actors. If you talk about, I mean, I am still have a soft heart for the original series because it's got it's sort of what
It is
started
what it
there.
is, yeah.
It broke.
But I
It
think
has moments.
between those two, I appreciate the quality of acting. But probably I would get the Next Generation probably the edge in terms of acting quality.
Awesome.
But then again, I think there's things in Deep Space Nine that disappointed me.
All right. Well, I'm going to do
Lyndon,
the...
Well, let me kind of real quick. The animated series has gigantic clone Spock.
That's a good point.
No,
And
I
cats
did
from
not
the
There's
cat
an
mind.
animated series.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
there
Oh
is.
yes.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, yes,
you
yes,
Oh,
have
no,
to
hope he
see
doesn't
it.
know.
Oh, you have to see it. You have to
It-
watch
it
it.
also has Satan.
That was
It
sort of
has Satan
cartoony.
and Kukul Khan.
Yeah.
Not in different
Yeah.
episodes.
But I would say,
Well-
what's your favorite Star Trek movie?
Okay, well, we're not going to
Just
answer
trying
that
so
this
hard.
time. We're going to answer that maybe next time if I remember a month from now. So we'll see you next month. But we're going to do that
can I
thing that we're
mention
supposed
before-
to do.
What's that?
Before is that Kilauea is starting to bloop out
Before
its
we
vent.
end.
In fact, we
Before
just
we
had a
end.
nice lava bloop
Yay.
out there. So it's
Chesh is gonna
I think
kill you
Europe
later.
may be starting.
I want you to
No,
know that.
Before we end, we have
She's gonna
to
find you. End you.
go watch Living with Philosophy and also the Volcano watch. Both of
Like
them.
and share and subscribe, but now it is time to do the thing. And if I remember correctly what the thing is, I believe Dapper's on the run right now, so we're gonna let Dapper go first and then Izaru go after.
no.
Dapper, say what you gotta say, then get the fuck out.
Oh, so to Tuesday, I'm doing a thing with Maddie from Science Side Up. She's great. So come watch that on my main channel. Then on Thursday, I'm releasing a supercut. So like bring popcorn and like a
Ooh,
drink.
nice.
It's gonna be like 3 hours, I think. Then on Friday, then on Wednesday, I'm going on with Low Energy Vids here. We're gonna talk some 40K stuff. I think we might play a game. I don't know. Then on Friday, we've got Star Trek Adventures over on my main channel.
Yay.
Let's see. Then on Saturday, I'm over with Kip Davis, the biblical scholar, and Vishanti, the generally cool person, and we're going to be talking anti-evolution nonsense and why it's dumb. And also, we'll probably just talk about all sorts of stuff that aren't that, because the more time that people send us super chats, the less we talk about the video that we're watching.
True. All
And I
right.
think I have something else
Yes.
later on that day. Maybe.
Okay, I'm
I
kicking
don't
him
know.
out.
I do like
All
that.
right,
I do
Izaru,
like
it's
the
your turn.
times when
Landon!
you actually don't.
Landon!
So
Landon!
yes,
not your
yes,
turn.
Yes,
Izaru, say what you gotta say and get the fuck out.
Okay, hi. So I might actually start uploading videos soon. I want to, because of the inspiration of the of some scientists in here, I've decided that I want to actually start doing communication stuff. Also,
That's
because my
awesome.
lungs aren't good enough to do it in the field. So you might see stuff on the on my channel that goes by the same name as me. Anyways, I'm gonna get going because I got work tomorrow.
Okay,
so
bye.
I'm gonna go.
All right, Lev, your turn.
Chesh, all I will say is you know what I am. Everyone knows what I am. And Chesh, you were fantastic today. The way you kept on not engaging in the conversation until much later. Almost like that you were the fucking weak link the whole time.
Okay, bye. All right, Opie, what's up? Say what you gotta say. Get the fuck out.
Watch Living with Philosophy on Debate Hub, and that's it. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, Landon, what do you got?
So, Kilo Volcano, maybe starting it's episode 42 now. I just saw it do some lava bloops, but you never know because Madame Pele is going to do what she's going to do. And the International Obfuscated Seal Cook Contest has one more month. So, ioccc.org, register, submit your code. You got a month more to do it. And bye.
All right, Arnsgar, how you doing? What you gotta say and
doing
get the fuck
good.
out?
All right. Well, first of all those assholes you just saw, they're wrong. I'm right, including this person right here next to me. And and I have a channel where I discuss all kinds of random crap, including if you ever wanted to know more about what Satanism actually is, you can check out my channel, and that's about it. Peace.
Thanks so much. All right, like, share, subscribe. Go check out all these lovely people. They were all kind of at their names, so you can look at the screen and see where they are. Most of them had something to say in the side chat. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is a hell of a good time. We'll be back next month with Rum and Coke again. I don't know what the day it's going to be. I think it's also still going to be the 14th, but we're going to see. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I hope you have a good weekend, and we will see you sometime in the future. Bye.
20 big bottles of booze.
1 bottle of booze.
Yay!